Hello and welcome. Welcome to Around the Town with Mark. I am Mark Whalen, your host, and you know that we are always glad to have you tune in and visit with us. Well, summer is here. Well, sometimes it doesn't seem like it outside, but summer is here, is certainly coming, and that's the time of year where there's, especially in our beautiful southeastern Connecticut area, so many things to see and to do to really enjoy all the richness that we have. And of course, we've got that wonderful airport at the Groton, New London Airport, and there's some great events going on there, especially for the kids. We're going to talk about some of those events today, called the ACE Academy, Aviation Career Education Summer Camp. And my guest today is going to tell us all there is to know about that wonderful camp. So allow me to introduce my guest, Stuart Sharack. Stuart, welcome to Around the Town with Mark.
Thank you, Mark.
So please introduce yourself to our viewers and tell us a little bit about who you are and what you are and your background.
Okay.
What brought you to ACE Academy?
I've been a Ledyard teacher for 41 years, ending in 5th grade.
Oh, okay. Wonderful.
And starting in the year 2000, I started doing an after-school aerospace science program for 4th through 6th grades at that school. And when I retired, I continued that and expanded it to other schools in Ledyard also. Also in the year 2000, I had a rare opportunity to go to Kennedy Space Center thanks to NASA. They had a program called NEW, NASA Educators Workshop. And I was selected to go down there with teachers from around the country and some of the territories and see firsthand what happens behind the scenes, places and people that the general public does not get to see.
What a wonderful opportunity.
It was very exciting.
Yeah, very.
I met teachers from all over who were involved in aerospace-related, interests, and we toured facilities such as the sections where they're building parts for the space station that are now up there. So the Canada arm, which is up there now, the Destiny research module is up there now, and I met the engineers that worked on that. I had the opportunity to walk right under the Discovery space orbiter.
What a lucky man. Very exciting stuff.
It was, and especially the person that led us was a young female electrical engineer, and she must have been in her 20s.
Oh, bless her.
And I was just amazed and fascinated that here was a young kid, to me, a kid, with the skills and knowledge and the responsibility to be working on something as complex as this space shuttle. And she just loved wires. So okay. I thought that was just really cool.
That is cool.
So among other things that we saw, I got to see a rocket launch. I never did see a shuttle launch. And I really wanted to, but because you can never tell about the weather,
sure.
I couldn't get down there and have a lot of extra time in case there was a postponement. Okay. But I did see a rocket launch.
Well,
and
that's more than most of us get to say.
It was a real thrill. You're up close, basically. You hear the sounds, you feel the thunder. And
it's exciting.
So exciting. I had tears in my eyes. I welled up just thinking about the cumulative efforts of human beings working together to make something like this happen successfully. So that blew me away.
Yeah. Yes.
Anyway, I met one teacher from Georgia who had an aerospace club, and we chatted a whole lot about things. And that experience was what initiated my interest in starting an ACE camp. Now, I didn't know about ACE at the time, but I had an opportunity during my regular after-school programming to tour the local airport, the New London Groton Airport, with my after-school kids, and chatted with some people there One person kept my name, and he knew that I was interested in anything that's happening, and he was going to have a meeting with an FAA representative, Federal Aviation Administration, and he invited me to attend. So I said, okay, we'll give it a try, see what they're talking about. And they talked about an ACE Academy, an ACE camp, Aviation Career Education, and they wanted to know if I would be interested in initiating one in Connecticut.
Oh, congratulations.
There had been one there in the 1990s and early 2000, but there hadn't been one there for a number of years. And so I thought about it for a period of time and said, oh, this could be exciting. And so that's what got me into it.
All
and
right.
I've been doing it since 2000. There are ACE academies in every state, almost every state, over 30 states. And if you went to the FAA website and looked under the education section, then you could look up your state and then see who the contact person would be for that. And that's where you would find my contact information too, under Connecticut.
So tell us, for the viewers who aren't familiar with the terms and things like that we're talking about, just exactly what is the Academy, how long, a little bit more details about the type of students and how long the programs run, and what does the program offer to your students?
Okay, well, we take students from anywhere in Connecticut, but generally we advertise through New London County. The program is designed for, my program is designed for students going into 6th through 9th grade, excuse me, 6th through 9th grade. Other ACE academies around the country might organize differently for different age groups and different times.
Okay.
Mine is a 1-week day camp from 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock. And among the activities that we do, we start off with some basic aeronautical science. We learn about the parts of airplanes. For example, I'll bring in some models, and we'll take a look at how an airplane is designed, the different kinds of wings. Maybe it's a straight wing, or maybe it's a triangular wing, a delta type of wing. We'll look at how airplanes fly. We will cover aeronautical history. I might use a game such as Barnstormers. Barnstormers were people that were entertaining the public in the 1920s, right after World War I.
I was going to say, that looks very vintage.
Definitely.
It looks great. I love it.
It's basically a tiddlywink type game, but designed over the history of that. And
I wish we had time to play it.
So I introduced the history, and then we go into building of models and testing them. So we do some pre-engineering type of activities.
Oh, wonderful.
We'll ask some questions about what the plane should look like, plan out a design of a plane, build it, and then we'll go and test it. We often go to Washington, take a short trip from the Groton New London Airport over to Washington Park in Groton. Okay. And we'll test our gliders or our rubber band powered planes. And then make modifications, if we can, to get it to fly beautifully.
So we're talking about a real great hands-on learning experience that a student can come in knowing nothing about aviation and basically learn, like you say, what makes a plane fly, and then actually make one.
Right. So in addition to the hands-on activities of model building, we take a lot of field trips around the state to aerospace industries. We've been to air traffic control towers up at Bradley Airport in Windsor locks. We've been to the air traffic control tower over at Groton and at Brainerd Airport. So we see how that operates. We've been to the Air National Guard facilities around the state, looking at perhaps Chinook helicopters in Hartford, or in Groton, how they are repairing Black Hawk helicopters. We go to survival systems, which allows us to see, that's at the Groton New London Airport also. It allows us to see how pilots learn how to egress from a downed plane downed in water.
Wow.
And the students get a chance to actually watch a training of pilots from around the world, and that involves pilots that are seatbelted into a mock cockpit and lowered into water, a pool of water, in darkness, such as a nighttime simulation, turned upside down like the plane has tipped over.
Wow.
Sounds and lightning, thunder and lightning, simulated.
So as real as they can make it.
The pilots have to get out. I'm watching that. I'm having trouble breathing just watching that.
And you haven't tried it yourself yet?
No, I don't think I have the
courage
courage for that.
Okay.
But anyway, we've been to Pratt & Whitney to see how aircraft engines are made, and a variety of other places around the state. Any place that relates to aviation and aeronautical science and would allow us to come, we'll go.
What a wonderful, wonderful experience. How large usually would your group be? Do you have a limit as to how many, or a target as how many you hope to have for each class?
Sure. Generally, the groups are fairly small, between 8 and 12 per week.
Okay.
That way, we get to do a lot, and we get to know each other a whole lot. And sometimes a large group will not be allowed into a facility. So keeping it small allows us to get into a small air traffic control tower, for example.
I was going to say, certainly something like an air traffic control tower, you can't be tramping in 50 people, but 8 or 12 people certainly would be reasonable.
And our transportation, if it's going to Hartford, for example, we would rent a van. Otherwise, local would be through carpooling.
Mm-hmm.
Another aspect of the program would be inviting career professionals to talk to the students.
Mm-hmm.
So last year, for example, I had an American Airlines pilot come visit, and she was a senior international pilot. And I asked her, where was she yesterday? She said, Italy. Where are you going tomorrow? Brazil. So
that's great. Wow.
So that was exciting, just to show, first of all, that this is for females, not just for males.
Oh, right.
And the experiences are worldwide. The opportunities for various cultures and to travel, see the world worldwide. But you do have to work at it.
Certainly.
There's work. During the week, the students get to try flight simulators to experience some of the things that we've talked about. What the controls are like on an airplane before they actually go in a real airplane. And then, we finally have a chance to fly at the end of the week in a 15 to 20 minute flight over the coast of Connecticut.
Oh, wow. So it's you really give them the full experience.
We try to. I do, a lot of the students come in thinking they want to be a pilot, and I feel my job is to expose them to the variety of options besides pilots that are related to aeronautics and aviation. For reasons that they may not be able to control, they may not end up being a pilot. It could be an eyesight or medical issue or something like that. Right. But if they love airplanes, and if they love looking at the skies and the beauty of the technology and the art, then there are a whole lot of other opportunities for them. There's aviation art, for example, and I incorporate that into my program also. We do some of that. I show them, for example, pictures of some of the winners of the aviation art contests around the world to show what other students have drawn and designed. So they may be an artist.
So if their heart is into being a part of aviation, you expose them to enough that one way or the other, they could have a path in their future to be in aviation.
I hope so, yes. Yeah. We'll look at customer sales. I'll bring in somebody from customer sales. We'll have an airplane pilot, an airplane salesperson come in and talk to them and show them what that's about. We'll have pilots, of course, Possibly this year, I'm trying to see if we could get a TSA person to talk with the students. We'll have an engineer come in. So a variety, whoever I can find,
Right.
people on the line, and just share what the different possibilities are, why people get interested in it, and how it could benefit them.
Well, certainly it goes almost really without saying that there's a lot more to aviation than sitting in the cockpit. There's so many different facets, including perhaps the air traffic control, like you say, and the behind the scenes that make an airport run. There's an awful lot there that a lot of people don't realize.
Right, and I want them to take a look at an airplane, not only the technology, but just the beauty of the design. It's sleek, it's graceful, and watching something through, gliding through the air, to me is very exciting. I've always enjoyed looking up at the sky and being amazed at how those things stay up in the air. It still doesn't seem to me that something that heavy should really be flying, even though I have an understanding of how it stays up there. It doesn't seem like it should be hanging up there. It's so heavy.
I remember as a very young child, this is going to sound so ridiculous, but not understanding airplanes and how they flew. The first time I realized that a wing flexed, I just thought it was this straight, hard piece of metal that just sliced through the air, not realizing, of course, that it flexed. And so that was one of my first, when I remembered as a young kid thinking, oh, wow, there's a lot to this.
Definitely.
I'm sorry that there wasn't a program like this that I knew about when I was a child. I would have loved it.
I've been also lucky to have a lot of opportunities besides that NASA opportunity in 2000. Over the years, I've expanded my background knowledge by attending other NASA education programs around the country. NASA had sent me out to Langley in Virginia and to Glen in Ohio. And through those are, once again, teacher education programs. But trying to get kids involved, that NASA recognizes that they need to have teachers get excited about it first, and then we can pass on that kind of knowledge. And NASA has a wide variety of educational programs, online, lesson plans and such, resources that abound. Also, I'm a member of, a teacher member of the Civil Air Patrol, and the Civil Air Patrol has a program, for teachers, a number of lesson plans in these books called AEX, and those are used in my programs with kids too. They're very easy, and a teacher doesn't have to be an expert in aeronautics to start a program like this. You just have to have the interest, and the resources are all over the place.
That's wonderful. Well, speaking of resources, I'm assuming that there would be a fee for the students to participate.
Right.
And
so it's $340 for the week. That would include lunch for the 5 days and a T-shirt. And this was last year's T-shirt. This was the front of it.
Okay.
And
that's great. That's a nice, great.
On the back, I don't know if you can see this, but
not within 1,000 years would man ever fly. Wilbur Wright, 1901. That's terrific.
I guess at a point of frustration.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow, that's terrific. And that also includes, like you mentioned earlier, at the end of the course, you actually get to get on an airplane and actually fly.
Right. I have a couple of pictures that we could perhaps show.
Oh, great. Yeah. If the control room could show us some pictures, here we go. Let's tell us what we've got.
Okay. Well, we start the week basically with doing some modeling, and that's what this is. The students are designing a glider, and they have to use measurement skills, careful cutting, and introducing a lot of math concepts, because you can't do aeronautics, you can't do science without the mathematics.
Okay.
And so we use some basic tools to help before we actually do the testing. So that's the students working on that.
All right.
And then the next one, I mentioned that we go to various places around the state, aerospace facilities. This last year was at Brainerd Airport, just outside of Hartford. the students have a chance to look at some of the hangars and the different planes that are in the hangars, and then actually walk inside them to get a feel of what it's like sitting in the cockpit of a plane. And that was one of the planes that we had been in. We also talked to the technicians and the maintenance people, because that's another career option too.
Certainly.
Okay, and the next would be,
Oh, wow.
a few years ago we went to Pratt & Whitney. They make aircraft engines, and their docents take the students around teaching us about how an airplane engine actually works. And then as a photo opportunity, the kids get to stand in an engine just to see how big and powerful that really is.
That is a really great picture. I love that. That's really fun.
Okay.
Next one.
And I mentioned, we do have simulators, and the students will have a chance to try different types of airplanes.
Oh, so they're actually, they've got their hands on the controls.
Hands on the yoke.
The yoke,
right.
Yep.
And they're controlling whatever they say. It could be a small Cessna, or it could be a jet, it could be a helicopter.
Really? Wow.
And the simulators, you can plug in which type of airport you want. And so we would start with the Groton New London Airport, and we could see the two runways that are there. And then we could go to Kennedy if we wanted to, or Logan in Boston.
Wow.
So
wow. That's great. That's fun.
That was the American Airlines pilot that went to Italy and Brazil.
All right.
And as you could see, she was a former Air Force pilot, so she brought all her different uniforms. She's wearing her current American Airlines uniform, but previously she was in the Air Force.
Well, that's a great photo to really show that it's aviation is no longer just a man's world.
Definitely, definitely, and I'd certainly like to have more young girls, into the program. Each summer, it's mostly boys, but the activities are good for anybody.
Wonderful, wonderful. And next?
We go to the 15, 20-minute flight near the end of the week. That's one of the highlights.
Okay.
Maybe it is the highlight for the kids.
Oh, I would bet it was.
And that's thanks to Coastal Air. Excuse me. Coastal Air is the flight school at the Groton New London Airport. And thanks to the president and owner of that, he has donated a 20-minute flight, donating his pilots, his planes, his fuel. Because
really wonderful.
When he was a youngster, he went through the ACE program, and he wants to give back. So he thought it was that significant. And we certainly thank him.
Oh, absolutely. That's wonderful. Well, great.
And on the next slide, we'll show, there's a couple of students getting ready to go into their flight.
Wow.
And generally, there'll be either 2 or 3 students in a plane at a time.
Okay.
And if things are working out well, then the pilot might let the student take over the controls for a bit.
Really? Oh, that's pretty exciting. Oh, terrific. Well, I think,
all right.
Good. Good.
Anyway, that basically shows some of what we do, and we finish the year with a little celebration at the end.
Oh, all right. Great, great. And do you? Obviously, everything comes with a cost. Are you seeking sponsorships? Do you have sponsors that aside from the student fees that help you create this great event?
Well, there are a lot of people that help support the program around the community and from afar. Mystic Jet Center, first of all, gives us the space at the airport.
Okay.
And we certainly have to thank them, because there wouldn't be a program without having the location.
Mm-hmm.
It's a prime location because it's right at the airport. We can see the ramp, and we can see all the activity going on all day long. So that's very exciting. You never know who's going to be landing or taking off.
Certainly.
So there are organizations such as the 99s, which is originally a group of female pilots started by Amelia Earhart back in her time. Yep. And now it's basically continued as a club of female pilots who support education in the aviation field.
All right.
So they help us out. NBAA, which is the National Business Aviation Association, they also supply us with a little bit of financial assistance.
Wonderful.
And a big supporter each year is the Norwich division of the Black Pilots of America.
Okay.
Which basically doesn't have to be black pilots. It's any pilots that have an interest in it, now. But sure. It started initially, that way.
Okay.
But they're a big supporter too. And there are some smaller supporters also. AIAA, the American Institute of Aeronautics and Astronautics. This year they helped us out.
That's a tricky thing to say, isn't it?
Right, I stumbled a little on that one.
Well, yeah, well, my compliments to you. I wouldn't have gotten through it at all. So, you know, there, and behind you, we've got some more pictures. This sounds really like very exciting. My congratulations to you to bring this to our area here in Connecticut and support so many things and these students and of course their families, their parents. I'm sure that gives them a great sense of pride to see their son or daughter accomplish something like aviation, which many think is, you know, it's not an easy venue to go into.
Right. I recall, you know, a youngster a couple of years ago from Norwich, and you could tell she had never been anywhere near an airplane in her life, and she was maybe 6th or 7th grade, and she was just so thrilled to be so close to airplanes, and every plane that we were near, she asked me to take a photo of her with the plane in the background.
Oh, that's
It was
great.
just so exciting to her.
Great.
So that was, as a teacher, that was great to see that kind of excitement, enthusiasm, and the success of something like that.
Great.
During my years as an aerospace educator, you know, I've had one of my main successes, I should say, is a student that went through my program as a 6th grader, as a 4th grader in the after-school program. And as a 5th and 6th grader, she came back every year. When she went to middle school, she came back as an assistant and a helper. She went through high school and came back to help out also. And then after college, about maybe 2 years now, she wrote me and told me she got her dream job working for an aerospace company.
That's wonderful.
Now, you know, but not you know, as a pilot or a scientist, but as the social media person, as a writer.
Well, Stuart, we're out of time. I want to thank you so much for being on my show today and telling us all about the wonderful ACE Academy. It's really, truly a wonderful program. And again, thank you for being on my show today, telling all our viewers about this great program. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you.
And I want everyone to make sure, you know, look at this, go to the website if you've got a child or you're interested in doing that yourself. It's a great, wonderful educational program. I also want to make mention that this, again, as I said, it's the summer season. There's lots of great things to see and do. This Saturday, the 9th, it's Groton Bank Day, which is also Art on Groton Bank, which is up at the Bill Memorial Library. It's an outdoor art festival. And there's Connecticut Open House Day, all the beautiful museum homes and things like that all around Groton Bank are open and free. Everything is free. There's lots of great parking. So I really encourage you to come out to Groton Bank Day and Art on Groton Bank this Saturday at the Bill Memorial Library. And here at SECC Studios, June 14th, 5:30 to 8 is an open house. We'd love to have you come down to the studio, visit with us, see what the studio is like. It's all free. We've got live music, great food, drink. It's a really fun opportunity. I'll be here. I'd love to meet you. Please come down. So remember all these wonderful activities, and always remember to tune in to Around the Town with Mark. Thank you for tuning in today, and we'll see you again very soon.